I have my nieces, they all live in New York. I have
Ah,
nieces that they love, the young people like to work and live in New York.
yeah. The California is a nice pace of living.
Yeah, the weather is so nice almost all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
We need rain in
Ah,
California.
yeah.
Get much rain, but they don't ration us with water because we have a lot of planting a vegetable garden and flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think vegetables and flowers are okay for water, but lawns are a waste of water.
We have a lot of roses. We plant a lot of different flowers, so it's pretty, but it's not quite as pretty as this background.
Okay, I think we're going to be starting.
Oh! Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Tai Chi. I'm going to do a little Qigong this week. I try to alternate. This is the one that's 16 movements or so. It starts out really, well, they both start out kind of similar, but this is the circle. Whoops, this is the circle. Whoops, all right. So I just want to have this feeling of, really loosey-goosey arms here. So, depending on what you've been doing just before this, it might take a minute, to get that feeling of release in the shoulders, a sense of how heavy the arms are. That's always kind of the key I'm looking for is when I do this type of stuff. I want that feeling like my arms are heavy ropes, because we got all that tension that resides up in here in the neck and shoulder area. And sometimes when you start this thing, it just feels it feels very tight. So just so be it, just let it find its way. Take your time, there's no hurry. And then you're gonna notice when they start to loosen up, you will notice how the waist will engage with the arms in a very specific way. And this, this happens over time, and I think it happens when you just practice. It's practicing the act of relaxing, as a conscious thing that you're focusing on, right? And then over time, you start to notice your waist is just ahead of the movement, right? So if my hands are going to go this way, my waist is going the opposite way because it's already trying to point the direction that you want them to go. So the waist is always going to be slightly ahead. And that's characteristic of, all of your Tai Chi to come. So this first movement is a really good way to just experience that and make note of it and just as a thing to observe in the future. So let's go the other way. There you go. Yeah, perfect. All right. Very good. Try to keep that sense of space in between your legs so that we're going to encourage our knees from collapsing inward. So it's almost like it's like a little beach ball in between your knees, and it's very gently expanding and pushing your knees out, keeping your knees pointing where your toes are pointing all the time. Oh, very good. All right, now we're going to transition to the second movement, which is just a lateral pulling action side to side. Notice the waist is going to do the identical thing that we did on the first one. So the waist is going to lead the hands through. There you go. You can shift a little weight here if you want to. And that might kind of accentuate that sensation of the waist leading. Another way to think of this is just to imagine your arms resting on a table, so that you're really identifying with that sense of, heaviness, being supported from below, and then just slide the hands across the table. The table is thought of as like very slippery. Then you're going to move the heavy arms across the polished table using just your waist and your legs, like so. Good. You can try this at home, like at an actual table when you're sitting at your dinner table, your dining room table. Just rest your arms on the table and see what would it take to move them without moving them. You know what I mean? Without, using obvious shoulder muscles. What if you just let your arms rest and just try to, experiment and explore what would you have to do with your body to slide those suckers across this way? And the answer to all the quizzes is the same. You're going to have to move your waist. You'll have to turn the body so that the arms can just release and come to rest. There you go. Yeah, so every one of these, this is what I like about it, every one of these simple movements has a lot more going on. If you look under the hood, there's a lot of very important and sophisticated principles going on. So here comes the third circle. Notice everything's a circle when we first start. Third circle is the big swing. Let's see, this is called opening and closing soothes the meridian. So my hip's closing, I can feel that, and that's just, again, that's a product of that counter spiral. So I feel my hip closing right here, and then when your arm swings back behind you, it feels like it opens itself up again. So there's this constant little rotation going on that's closing and opening my hip, right? I'm just pointing it out. I don't think there's any advantage really in trying to do it, but I'm just kind of pointing out that I'm observing it. And I think my argument would be that it's going to do itself. And the more you relax and the more you practice, right? Practice relaxing, the more the body will just kind of conform to this natural set of principles in motion. Okay, then we do that for a while, then I'm going to reverse direction. Now the hip's closing this way, hip is opening this way. Close, open. Also stretches your back out too. Okay, so the arm is just relaxed. It's like you're swinging a rope. Okay, then I'll reverse again. All right, now we bring our feet together. This is the one where you reach up, touch your hands on top, and then clap your hands behind your back, like that. Right? Good. Now you're going to grab that big rubber band that you're standing on and stretch it all the way up to the top. Take all the slack out of it. Just like you did with your body. Your whole body is being stretched at this point. Then bend from the middle. And feel when you make that bend, open up the rib cage, feel the stretchiness, the tension of the rubber band increase because you bent it in the middle. So the upward pressure of your hands, downward pressure of your feet will increase just as the result of pulling the middle. And that's also what's happening to the tissues in your body. Okay, then I'm going to do this thing where I pull the tail as far back as I can and reach out, reaching for, I guess it's the juncture of the wall and ceiling. You're kind of trying to reach as far as you can as you pull your tail back. Stretch the spine. Okay, and then when it's time to come up again, this is like a rule we always follow. Pull the crown of your head and let that be the thing that brings you back to vertical. I might pause there for a moment and then think of pulling your elbows straight down to the floor like you're doing a chin-up. Pull it straight down to the floor. Okay, and then let your joints fall open. Let your shoulders fall open and bend from the hip, from the qua. So I like to take this part slow. I don't want any surprises on the way down there. So I'm going to take it real slow. And my mind is kind of carefully observing what's going on in my lower back. I'm just going to let it stretch out. If I feel a little bit of a pulling sensation in the hamstrings, don't force your way through that. Just maybe this is what I always say, find your comfortable limit. Like you could go a little further if you had to, but you won't. You know what I mean? Then you feel a nice stretch in your hamstring. And then once I find that comfortable limit, I'm just going to hang there and just progressively relax more stuff. My neck, my lower back, my shoulders. I'm just going to let things hang there for however long I want to, really. And I'm just going to let it hang. Then I'll start this little rotational movement. Again, by thinking of stretching one side of the rib cage open and maybe compressing the other side, and that'll give you this sort of a soft rotation. Go slow. Okay, good. Now, just like the last time, before we come up, we have to squat down and lift from the crown of your head. Let that pull. Probably inhaling at this point, yeah? And when you exhale, let all your weight fall to that one leg. Take a step. And stretch. Okay. Take a breath here. I'm going to hold it in the stretch position. And as I exhale, I'm going to let my head turn. The head will pull the body around to follow. And at this point, I feel like I've got like a heavy ball or like a rock. And the weight of the rock will balance the weight of this leg, and it'll make this leg feel weightless. Oh, see? Turn. Another thing, that back knee, let me turn this way. That back knee, I don't really want to straighten it all the way, right? Because it tends to tilt my pelvis a little bit. What I'd rather do is relax that knee and let the tail drop toward the floor, like more like that. See? Like that, as opposed to that, right? I'm going to relax it a little bit, even though I still got weight. Most of the weight's on the front leg. And then when you turn, just keep that thing right in that little slot. Like that, see? So here, back, hold the rock. All right, this is the last one of these. Now we will return to our shoulder wide stance, parallel. Okay, so we're going to do the head turning thing, but before we do, go ahead and do a quick little mental scan of your body. Use the checklist. Start from your feet, work your way up, relax your knees, relax your hips, drop your tail, lift the crown of your head, tuck your chin in, empty your chest, make it feel like it's a little bit contained, so that means your shoulders feel soft, slightly rounded, right? That's your checklist. Now, when you turn your head, it's going to engage so many more tissues. Come back to the center position, crank it the other way. Okay, when you do any of these movements from this position, I think it's always better if you leave a little bit of space under your arms. So rather than that, I think it's probably better if we just create a little bit of space there. So yeah, not much, like a golf ball. Yeah, that's better. That's so much better. Also, too, notice when I'm turning my head, that arm on the side that I'm turning toward, that arm has a tendency to rotate slightly, making it, kind of thumb up, like that. The other one has a tendency to rotate down. Just a little bit. Okay, and then we do the up cycle, looking up, then they will both tend to rotate palm up. And also, too, invisibly, your hips are also doing that, too. Hold it, breathe in. Drop the chin, lift the crown. I like to pause for just a second to make sure I have that feeling of lifting from above. Now you drop your chin, round your back. Now the arms have a tendency to rotate back the other way. And that just helps you empty your chest and round your back. Looking straight down. Okay, lift. Maybe pause for half a second and then do it again. Whew. All right, excellent. Now, feet are together here. This is the upward pressing movement. So that the thing to remember is you're going to shift your weight from one foot to the other. Right? And the less weighted foot, you will lift the heel up. So you'll kind of let that float. And it's good too, because then it gives you it gives you an indicator of which foot is bearing weight at any given moment. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of that stuff when you're focused on all these other little details that I can't stop talking about. So that's kind of how I do it. Lift one heel, drop your weight, lift the other heel, drop your weight. Okay. Also too, this is a good time to kind of bring this up. I was talking about this the other night. Do you notice when you put your weight on one leg or the other, it tends to generate a little bit of a rotation in a certain direction? Now this is just, I think this just happens naturally. I mean, you could disallow it very easily by forcing yourself to go the opposite way. But I think when the weight falls here, let's say, I think the body wants to just slightly rotate that way. I'm going to exaggerate so you have something to look at. So this is what I call the walking model, because if you were walking, it would look like that. Okay. So this exercise really makes use, and it really kind of opens up that principle of kind of cross body twisting. So when we put the weight here, right, this is your, what is that, your left leg. We put the weight on the left leg. Now this is your right leg, huh, because I'm facing, so this is your right leg, sorry. And then you push your opposite hand up. Those two things, you want them to feel like they balance each other, they match each other. So it's like you're drawing energy from the weighted leg, it crosses your body into the opposite hand. So this feels very solid and strong, and that deriving its power from that opposite leg root. Okay, so this is like a really like a sophisticated exercise, even though it's so simple looking. So then I'm going to converge in the center. I drop the weight to the opposite leg, right? And I let that natural rotation occur. Then I pull it down just like we're doing a chin-up. So probably inhale, exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, just like that. Good. As your hand goes up, it feels like you're pushing yourself away from whatever you're lifting. So instead of thinking of pushing the object away from you, think of pushing yourself away from the object, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the more it goes up, the more I feel like I want to sink. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go. And that sinking feeling helps me keep my shoulders aligned as well. Good, great. All right, looking good. This is the one where we're going to just massage the palm, turning the head. Okay, this is called raising the back. So we're going to get down deep underneath the hands. And if you can close this all the way to here, that'd be great. If not, just come close to it. But you're trying to, this is kind of an extreme closure posture. So you're rotating this way, drilling, as they say. And you're letting your elbows sort of rotate to the front of your body. They don't have to touch, but they can. Then you're just really deeply squatting to get under your hands. Then you push your feet into the floor, and that lifts the energy to the hands as you inhale. You reach for the ceiling, and then when you're fully extended, extend a little more by lifting your heels off the floor. And then sharply bring your heels down. That vibration is said to be beneficial to clear the lungs. And then you're just bringing your hands straight down. Okay? Good. All right, we're going to tap right here. Try to not to knock my microphone off again. All right, now, you're going to hold on to your kidneys, like that. Just resting on there, yeah. And you can set your stance a little bit wider for this one. And then we're just going to make the big circle with the pelvis. Good. All right, reverse. Good. Feet together, place your hands on your knees. Make a small circle. And squat. Okay, and just like always, we're going to lift the crown. Let the crown pull you back to the vertical position. Whew. All right, let's do a little bit of chair stuff. Do a little stretching here. Let's see, this one. I got the good chair today. So this one, like that, right? Well, let's do just the reach and pull. Reach and pull. So sometimes I'll do grasping, bird's tail type of thing here, but let's keep it really simple today. Reaching out, grabbing something, pulling back. Inhale. Exhale. I got the chair without arms today, so this is a lot easier to pull off. Inhale, reach as far as you can. Pull back, good. That's the idea. I like that one. All right, let's try the other one. How's that going? Looking good? Nice. That's fine. Great. All right, let's work through our hamstring stretch here. So this one, legs extended, pull your toes back, and just start out by massaging your knee. And you'll fold your arms just like you're throwing your elbows up on a table. Let them rest on the table. Then start sending the tip of your elbow toward the general direction of your toe there. And you don't have to touch, but just go in that general direction. And you'll feel something very soon. And again, just like we were talking before, get to the point where you feel like you could go a little further if you had to, but don't quite go there. And just hang out in that space where it's comfortably stretched. And then when we do the breathing, you may notice that when you exhale, it'll go a little bit further spontaneously without you having to necessarily make any effort. So let that happen if it happens. If not, no big deal. So I might go through maybe 3 or so cycles of breath. And I try to relax more each time. And when it's time to come up, push your heel into the floor so as to tighten that muscle, and then that will protect your back when you come back to upright position. All right, we can do it on both sides. Massaging. Okay, now throw your elbows up on the table. I use that description because it reminds us to relax when they arrive, you know? Like, because this thing works so much better if you can just start from a state of rest. This works so much better. Okay, you hit your limit now, breathe. Okay, push the heel down, flex that muscle. Come up slowly. Whew. Great. All right. Let me square up here to you. I mean, since we find ourselves always sitting down at that point, I usually do this. The final exercise, number 16, I usually do it seated. You could easily do this one standing as well. Inhale. Good. At this stage of the game, because I know a lot of you have been with us from the very beginning, which has been a long time now, it seems, at this stage of the game, try to get to where you can feel the breath itself is causing the expansion, rather than any idea that you're using your shoulders to do this move. Just, again, I keep returning to this thing. Let your arm feel like they're resting on a table, resting on balloons, floating in the water. And just the breath itself is enough to get them moving. So that's expanding. And then when you exhale, just let the natural contraction take place. And there's so many places in the body that will be expressing that opening and closing energy. You don't have to explicitly know what they are, even right now. But you're going to become more acquainted with that process over time. For right now, just go with it. Just have faith that actually is happening, and see how much tension you can release, and you'll be surprised that this motion will continue just as a product of conscious breath. So once you kind of tap into that, you might notice that the pace of it changes. Since it's tied with the breath, it's going to become more deeper. Whereas, when you first learn this, it's just, you know what I mean? So that's, stage 1. Now we're going to skip to stage 4, which is just letting the breath do all the work. Exactly. So I find myself referencing this exercise and this principle a lot during class. Good. All right. Then when you're done, close your fists lightly, softly, and just relax your elbows, and then we're going to come back to the body. Open your hands and just let them settle down. All right. So now you're in the perfect position to just sit, or just stand if you're standing. So if I transition to the standing posture, I'm going to fold my hips. And notice that's going to bring my arms into this motion. It'll start my arms swinging. So I fold the hips, my head's going over my feet, my arms start to swing. The crown lifts me out of the chair. I think that's the easier way to do it. Anyway, okay? All right, this is your water break, so. Well, that's great. You guys have been training nonstop for almost 45 minutes now. So let me take, what do I got here? Let me take 2 minutes to just talk through this opening here. So we're going to start the swing. Inhale, exhale. Oh, there's that thing we talked about, right? There's your opening. Inhale. Okay. Just like the exercise. And then when you start to exhale, it's closing itself, isn't it? And you reach the convergence here. This is strike the palm to ask the Buddha. Fold it inside, grasping the bird's tail. Now, talked about this a little bit last week. If you want to, you feel comfortable doing it, it's perfectly fine to take a little step back sometimes. And I kind of try to keep that sort of spontaneous. You don't have to plan it. But if I want to step back right here a little bit, that adds a lot to this part, right? So let's just do a few of these. Right? So just me moving my foot back like, 6 inches, that gives me so much more space to express this turning. And if I want to cheat an extra few inches, when you get to the bottommost point of this arc, you can lift your toe up. You see that? That's pretty traditional Tai Chi stuff, right? Lift the toe, and that plants you on the back leg there, and the toe comes down when you set up for this. Oh, right there. Okay? So, grasping the bird's tail, push, grasping the bird's tail, and push. Okay, so now I got that one foot back. What do I do with it now? Well, the next time single whip comes around, which it always does, you can just plant it right there, right? Right there. There's the white crane. Now I could just stay in the stance for the rest of the form if I want to. I can take a little step there. So let's do that one. This is called sealing and closing. This is the one where I say, look through the pyramid. But now that I got one foot a few inches in front of the other one, now I have more space to express that shift of weight back, shift of weight forward. Okay, and I might just stay there for the duration of all that stuff, the circles. Okay, so those are just some ideas. We'll work through the whole thing, and if you feel like you want to just move your feet a little bit, go right ahead. What's the worst that could happen? There's no penalty if you fail. Okay, here we go. Ready? Let me get over here. Wuji position, heels together, toes apart. Drop your weight onto the right leg. Step out with your left. Turn your toes parallel to one another. There's the checklist, right? Here we go. Okay, after 3 circles, reach out with your left, pull back with your right. Fist goes to the center. Circle under. And here comes the monkey. across. Exhale, return to shoulder wide stance. All right, just stand still for a moment. Feel circulation in your body. And when you're done with that, bring your heels back together. The form is officially closed. All right, Qigong, inhale. Exhale. This is just like before we talked. Try to get that feeling that the breath is doing everything. Very good. All right, great job, guys. Thank you very much. Once again, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.